stacks and stuff. Okay, so you'll want to just go back a little so you can watch me do this. So what we need to make sure, this is why we're going to use our 8-inch box, because you have a whole foot you're going to get around. And so you're just going to try to estimate for the foot you're using. I've already pre-cut one, I kind of guessed. And then we're going to round our edges. And everybody's foot's gonna be different. Perfect, thank you. So I kind of guessed around 8 boxes or so worth, okay? Because what we need to do is we need to make sure we've got enough to get around, okay? And so sometimes I'll see people do it really skinny and thin, but then you're just gonna need more of them, okay? So we wanna try probably 2 at least 2, I should say, if not 3, you're gonna need, okay? Depending on the callus, depending on how significant it is and painful it is, you might need an extra layer. All right, so now we've got our closed cell foam, okay? It comes off of a roll. I cut a strip that I think I'm gonna need for the size of the tissue, and what you will have to do is you'll have to cut your slits into it. So about halfway in, I'm just cutting as many of these little slits, okay? Because what we want is that as we're going around, it's bending around, creating our shape of our donut, okay? So what we want to do here is when you start using your foam, you're going to realize how sticky this stuff is, okay? So try to minimize your touch on the adhesive, because it will start to stick significantly to you. So let's talk through, if this athlete's going into play, it's a hot and humid day, I definitely would spray, okay? We're gonna spray and spray on the top as well, because this tape is gonna wrap around to the top, and I wanna make sure it stays secure. The issue with spray is this an open wound or is it not an open wound? And if it's an open wound, you're not going to spray directly into it, okay? You're gonna cut off another piece of your gauze. And again, to keep the gauze kind of safe and contained, I take off what I need. And then I would hold it down like this and then spray around it, okay? So you want to protect it if it's an open wound of any kind, okay? So then when that's done, you know it's nice and tacky, you're ready to put your tape on. So now what you're going to do is, like, let's just say it's right there, okay, the worst spot. Just like in any wounds, right, there's tenderness that comes out from that blister, right? So you have to figure out, you know where the wound is because you can see the blister, but what you don't know is it still tender around it, even in the area that's closed. If it's red, you can assume there's going to be a little bit of tenderness. So you're going to go outside of not only the wound itself or the blister, you're going to go outside of the redness of the tissue. And you're going to be making sure, like, hey, are we okay? That's good. That's good. Yes, that's good. That's good. And then she says, oh, that was tender. I would try to back it up and reroute myself so that I clear that. Okay? We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. And then right there, I can just rip that piece off to create my circle. Okay? So then from there, whether I use the same piece of gauze, because now remember I sprayed it, or I cut a fresh piece of gauze off, and now we've got our gauze that's going to come in and sit right there. Now remember, if you sprayed, because it was a closed wound, you have a little stick on the skin. So this concept of like the gauze completely falling off, it's not going to be there. However, if you have an open wound, what you can do is layer a little dollop of lube, okay, and just put it so it sticks right there. So you're not dealing with that, okay? Do we have any lube access?
Would you use like Neosporin?
You could totally use Neosporin, bacitracin, zinc, all of those things that you have. If you had none of them and you only had lube, you're not gonna hurt them by putting a little piece of lube right there, a little dollop, just to help it stick in place for you enough to get this first piece on. Yes, you can totally do that. You just don't want to put too much. Again, like the concept of the second skin, because if you put too much, it's sloshy, right? And then you risk the gauze maybe slipping out from underneath your tape. So again, that's why I kind of just said like a little piece. So here we go. Now we're going to wrap around. And so the only things you need to be concerned with here are clearing the pinky. And so you're just going to kind of come around like that. And then you're going to come up and around, and you're going to make sure that you cleared that big toe, okay? We don't want to catch any creases because the athlete's going to feel that, and it's going to feel uncomfortable to them. So now I've kind of covered half, if not most of it. I could have chosen to go straight over it, okay? But I'm going to layer these. So now you have to get kind of creative. Because you see how high that is on the toe? We want to clear the toe. See that? You see how I'm maneuvering the stretch on the coverall? This is why we want coverall stretch. Okay, and then I'm going to give it a little stretch. Pull her toes down to clear. And then we don't want that to roll. There we go. Okay, so now the way I just showed it to you, you see how there's only one layer here and one layer here? Well, I need a third layer. I really want to make sure that she's got plenty of padding, and also what I've seen through the coverall, it's a great piece of tape, but it is thin, and somebody who's sloshing around on a court or a field, this is going to break down. And so that's why we like that extra little layer in there. So if I just give one more layer, pull your foot up towards you, great. And I just say go right over it. And now we've got enough protected here. So we've got 3 layers protected, okay? If I could have chosen to do one piece, then one above and one below, I could have chosen to do 2 directly over each other. The issue is if these little angles right here, like you have to catch skin. And so that's where you just want to kind of make sure you've covered all your bases, okay, for your coverall. And then stretch it, kind of maneuver what you have to get it to stay on. Good with that? Pretty simple. Okay, awesome.